Okay, there we go, back through the canal. The canal's fading behind us. We've got 20 knots right on the nose now. It's quite flat, it's not rough, but that's quite heavy for quite a strong wind for our Genoa. So I think we're going to have to try and put up the working jib, which means putting the removal in a forestay on, because we need to tack right into it. So the best way to do that, rather than have an overpowered Genoa and rolled up with its bad shape, is to get the working jib out, which will be a nice shape, and hopefully should have us tacking into the wind a lot more efficiently. This is Intrepid Bear, a 40-foot sailboat off to explore the world with her crew Ian and Kate.
Come aboard and let's see what's out there.
As I alluded to in the intro, the reason for hoisting the working jib rather than just rolling up the Genoa is that a rolled up Genoa does not hold its shape as well and becomes inefficient. This is a problem that varies depending on your wind angle, but when trying to sail as close to the wind as possible, sail shape and efficiency becomes critical. So just had a chat, because we haven't used the working jib before, so we're going to put up the main. We're going to go to reef 2 because it's gusting close to 20 knots at times. It's easier to hoist some more sail than reef if we're too much. So we're going to do that. We're going to head off onto a starboard tack, so across towards the south side of the Gulf. And once we're going with the mainsail up, then we will deal with the working jib, hoist that, and then see how we sail under working jib. We've only done it once before, I think, maybe. I don't know if we did it in pool. The last time we practiced was in Falmouth over a year ago. So yeah, that's what we're going to do, but we're going to do it one stage at a time, nice and easy. Sheet in. So she feels alright at the moment, 5.2 knots. Feels a bit slower than that, but we're pretty tight to the wind. And 17, 18 knots of wind, doesn't feel overpowered. That little head sail with double reef main. Very nice. So the wind's a little bit up and down, but the double reef main and the working jib is appropriate when it's blowing nearly 20 knots. Sometimes it drops to 14 and we slow down a bit. Seems to be flaking around a little bit as well, backwards and forwards, as in it's getting closer to the bow and then backing a little bit. But that's cool. We're actually making progress upwind, which is nice.
Use the funny sunglasses, mine broke, and you can see all the orangey jellyfish quite big there, and also some smaller ones. There's like a whole load of jellyfish going by. I don't know if it's a regular thing, we always seem to see hordes of jellyfish, but yeah, lots of big orange ones and then some much smaller ones, all passing by on their way towards the Corinth Canal. I guess they're going through to the Aegean.
So 20 knots of wind to 0 knots of wind. So sails are down and the engine's on. Oh, the anchor got tangled. Yeah, so it's turning into one of those days. The windlass is due for replacement, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. First thing this morning we were in a little bit of a hurry because boats were queuing up for the canal. Windlass decided it didn't want to be very energetic. That's why we're going to replace it. Then the anchor came up and it was tangled on its swivel in a way that it never has been before. And then I went for a little sleep and the carbon monoxide alarm has gone off. And one of the batteries is at 95 degrees. So I've switched off all the charging. So shut down the solar charging, shut down the engine charging. The engine's still running, but if you turn off the ignition, the charging stops. And they are cooling slowly. The other two, one was 60 degrees, one was 45, so I'm hoping the 60 degree one is just because it was wedged up against the 90 degree one. And I'm hoping we've just lost one battery for some reason. I don't know why. So they're cooling now, but it's pretty warm down here in the cabin. Yeah, it's a bit of a worry, as far as I can see there's nothing wrong, but I don't know. I do not know. I've got about 2.5 hours to go to an anchorage on the north side of the Gulf of Corinth, which should springboard us off to get up the Gulf. We're not quite sure what to do at the moment because it's due to be against us all week. We could tack in the daytime if it's not too windy, but equally we could just suck it up and motor out the Gulf overnight when the water's flat. So we'll think about that tomorrow morning.
Be interested to see what our grand sum total of mileage we've made today from our anchorage last night. We've done tack back and forth and just we are not having the best time at the moment. It sucks. But Ian's just figured it out. If we stop where we're gonna stop, we'll have made a grand sum total of 9 miles in the direction we wanted to make for 5 hours out trying to sail. So yeah, not very good progress. The whole 9 miles towards the Ionian. It's gonna be a long few weeks trying to get to Corfu at this rate.
This may look like lovely sailing conditions, but the swell was building with the wind, and it seemed that on each tack the wind turned such that we were just going back exactly where we had come from. With our visa deadline looming and many miles still to sail, it was becoming stressful and frustrating. So back in Patalas Lagoon, this is where we had the bat in the sail last time. Cracking spot really. I mean, there's nothing on the shore, so I think that's why there's nobody here. But it's quite incredible that in August this totally protected, really good shallow anchorage is totally empty. There's one other boat and it's a massive anchorage. Anyway, you might be noticing there's a section of the journey missing. We got ourselves into a bit of a lack of sleep down period again. We were a bit fed up, a little bit snippy with each other, and we just didn't film very much. We've been on the go. It's been quite intense. It's lovely to see family, but it's quite intense getting to there, and then having changed our minds about where we're going, we then had to get back out of the Aegean against the Meltemi, and that was potentially difficult. The Gulf of Corinth and Patras, we tried to tack up there, and it just didn't work out. We were, every time we turned, the wind was turning. I know that sounds like a pathetic excuse, but it was just 20 knots. We'd tack across. As we were about to make our tack back, approach one side, the wind would back right round, and then that would throw our tack off. What's the word? Demoralizing, and we were demoralized. So what we did is we actually stopped, had a kip, and then we used the nighttime calm to just motor out of the Gulf, just get it done, because the forecast was more and more westerly winds just blowing straight down the Gulf. We'd have been tacking for days. So yeah, we went overnight, went under the Rion Bridge overnight, did get a little bit of footage of that, as much as I can in the darkness. Then we just scooted on up. We came out of the Gulf into Patalas Lagoon yesterday. Nice little bit of swimming, nice little bit, well, just cooling down swimming because it's really hot. It's about 39, 40 degrees at the moment. And now we are heading back towards Kastos Island, where we may be meeting up with one of our previous boats, the big white ketch that we used to have 60 odd foot, called Dark Island.
Having broken the back of the voyage to Corfu, we could now afford to slow down a little.
So that is Dark Island. That is our old boat that we had before Intrepid Bear. Added them as a buddy so they go yellow on the chart plotter. And we are aiming to meet them over at Kastos Island. So it'll be really interesting to see what upgrades and bits and pieces have been added by the new owner. We don't miss Dark Island because she wasn't the boat for us, and the Bear definitely is. But it'll still be interesting to see, you know, how she is now from when we had her. So it'll be nice. So yeah, there's been virtually no wind. We've motored most of the way. We only got about 35% fuel, so we've been very gentle, at about 4 knots. But now we put the head sail out just to give, because the wind's come up a little bit. Always gives us a little boost. We've gone from 4 knots to 4.8. 20 minutes to go. We can see Dark Island, our old boat, in the distance through binoculars. So we'll be dropping the anchor in 20 minutes or so, and hopefully meet up with them for a beach barbie this evening and get a look around our old boat to see what they've done with it. Catch up with you a bit. Cheers.
As you can see, Dark Island is a stunning ketch designed by the famous yacht designer Jack Lawrence Giles. But at over 60 foot in length and built in the 80s, she needed slightly deeper pockets than ours to keep her in good shape. It was great to meet the current owners Pete and Claire and see the old girl again. But back at beautiful Kastos Island, Intrepid Bear is the boat we want to be on.
The next morning we set off a short distance to a nearby island, but smoke was rising in the distance. This was to be a bit of a feature in coming days. We're just popping around the corner to Kalamnos Island. Hopefully we'll have a couple of days just chilling out and snorkeling. But saying that, we're just looking over on the hill on Kalamnos now, and there's smoke starting to rise. Possible forest fire, wildfire. Looks almost like pretty much where we're planning to anchor, in a bay called Geronimus Bay or something similar. So we'll have to see when we get there, keep an eye on that. As it turned out, this fire did not develop into anything serious, and the anchorage at Geronimus didn't work out for us either. So we pushed on up towards the Lefkas Canal, where, a few days later,
the situation appeared a lot worse. Watching the firefighting efforts from a fuel station didn't feel like totally the safest place. However, the fire was actually a safe distance from the fuel, and the efforts of the firefighters on the ground and in the air was bringing the fire under control. So we refueled safely and spent a couple of nights back in Lefkas.
That's the current bridge. This is the old bridge. It doesn't reach across, but there is a ramp here and a ramp on the other side. So I figure that this was not a rotating bridge. This was actually probably more like a chain ferry or on wires where it just went backwards and forwards across the river. So this is the castle at Lefkas, castle of Iamoro or something like that, I'm not sure, I'll have to check that. Anyway, there's 3 different websites which all gave conflicting information. One of them said it's closed on Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. It is closed, so that one website was right, but unfortunately there's no way of telling which is the right website. So Lefkas has only ever really been a stepping stone before, but it is actually, could be quite nice. A bit windy today, but yeah, it's quite nice back streets. You've got the canal to walk along across the bridge, castle if it was open, and the beach here doesn't look too horrible. If it was a calm day, you could have a nice swim there. So yeah, never really looked at Lefkas before, even though we've been here about at least twice, maybe 3 times before. We've only been stopping through looking for things, not looking at the place. So yeah,
plenty more layers of the Ionian we haven't seen.
Life is like a great big onion.
And what is this?
This is heaven.
Heaven.
Mango sorbet. I've not had it before, and it had 1 scoop yesterday. Come back today with 2 scoops.
That's how good it is, you have to come back. And in Lefkas, this leg of the journey ends. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time when we push on to Corfu to check out of Greece and Schengen before heading back to Montenegro. Join us then, and if you enjoy what we do, please do like, subscribe and comment, as it all helps more than you know. Thank you.